And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a really cool game called Woodlands, the friendliest tile laying game. In this game, you're going to be laying down tiles, trying to help fairy tales, creatures, succeed in their missions, but you're laying them down, looking at another sheet, trying to gauge on that sheet where you can put them. It's very similar to drawing games that I've done in the past, and but this one is unique. I don't think I've seen a game like this. Let me show you. When you play the game, you're going to play through a story, and a story is going to have several chapters. So there are several stories included with the game. So here, for example, is Little Red Riding Hood. There are 4 story sheets for Little Red Riding Hood. There is also Robin Hood, King Arthur and his Knights, and Vampires. And each of them has a certain number of sheets with a certain number of things that are going to happen on these sheets. You're going to take the first chapter of each sheet and you're going to place it in the middle on top of a whiteboard like this so everyone can see that sheet. Everyone is going to have one of these boards placed in front of them, and you will place your board the same way. So the player over here is going to place their board this way, just so that the boards are placed the same way. Each player is going to have 12 tiles. There's a little symbol to tell the difference between them. And you're going to get these tiles, and you're going to start a timer, and players are going to be putting out these tiles on their board as quickly as they can. So as the timer is going, you're going to be placing these tiles on your board, and you can basically place them any way that you want to. All right, you're trying to accomplish whatever the goals are of the scenario. So let's say I put these like this. You can't flip them over. Flipping them over is like a variant, which makes it a little bit harder and things like that. Once one player is finished and the timer has run out, that person can then flip the timer, which means everyone else has to the end of the timer going through the second time to finish. Then each player, one at a time, is going to place the sheet on top of their board, and we're basically going to see how many points that you've scored. So each one has a different methodology of scoring, and the book comes with a thing. So this is Little Red Riding Hood, Chapter 1. So you need to move Little Red Riding Hood, and you'll put Little Red Riding Hood right here, for example. You need to move her to the signpost to get 3 points. So she can't go in the forest at all. And let's put this together. And but the signpost is in the forest, so I can't get that. So no 3 points for me. She also gets 1 point for each strawberry that she comes across. So there's 1. And I got to make sure I have this nice and straight here. 2, 3. So she gets 3 points for the strawberries. And she also ran across this yellow gem, so I get a yellow gem. And that's it. Each one of these is going to be different. So let me just show you, for example, here's this one here. You'll lose points if you cross over tombstones. So I would have done very poorly on this one. I'm trying to get him to a certain spot to get 4 points. I'm trying to get this here for a point, and so on and so forth. Also, for each tile you don't cover up, you're going to lose a point. And players are going to keep track of their points. Players might also find keys, and they also might find treasure chests. And if you have a key in a treasure chest, you will draw the card, and you can pick something that player will have done to them. Players are also trying to collect sets of jewels, because those will also give you bonus points at the end of a round. The player who's the first person to finish and grab the timer will get a white gem, which counts as a wild gem. Every gem is a point at the end of the game, and if you have a set of 4 different color gems, you will get a bonus point. So you can get 5 points in total if you have a yellow, green, red, and blue. And then there's you'll add up the points that you've got over each of the chapters, and whoever has the most points is the winner of the game. I really like the components for this game. There's this neat poster that I'd love to put on the wall, but you use this white one to put the sheets on top of. But as you put down each of these, it's just a really nice system for how this whole thing works. You know, as you're going to put down the tiles, so in this case it's on this side, and once you have your tiles there, and you put them together like this, and you put the sheet on top, It's really neat just to see how everything fits on top of it. And as you put these different sheets on, and yeah, you have to go through the rule book to see what everything does, but it's not that complicated, but the sheets are a little bit different, and you'll find that it's almost impossible to get your tiles to go exactly where you want. Some of the treasure chests even give you enchanted tiles. Maybe you give this one to someone else, or you have one of these of your own that you'll be able to put out based on the treasure cards. The gems are nice, the keys are nice, yeah, the characters are okay. They're little standy characters, but for the most part, everything looks really good. The transparency, where you lay it on top of the tiles, is a really cool feature. I really like it. Now, obviously, this game is going to have that speed element. Any game with a speed element where one person finishes faster than others. But you all have the same tiles, and it's a little hard. Like I said, it's hard. There probably is a perfect combination for every board, but you're probably not going to find it. And you want to be first because a white gem is worth a point, right? And it could be worth more if you get the set. So you want to do these things, but you always have some time, right? You're going to have till the timer runs out at least twice. And if nothing else, you can throw tiles on your board, and at least you don't get the -1s there, although sometimes you lead, Dracula right to your location, and then you lose points. The fairy tales work really well. There's a story that's kind of included with them. Not a long story, but it's just a little bit here. Deep in the forest, Robin gathered his merry band of robbers. Together with Little John Wilscow and the miller's son, he formed a plan on how to protect themselves from the wicked sheriff. And then it tells you the things, and you read them. So you have Little Red Riding Hood, Robin Hood, King Arthur, and Count Dracula. All fun. The Count Dracula, yes, he's a vampire, but very silly, cutesy artwork. This is definitely a game you can play with kids. It says here 10 to 99. I think you could even play it with younger kids than that, although you might beat them in laying out the tiles. But even if it's just, hey, you can use this as a solitaire experience. Go ahead. You have a certain amount of time. Put down all the tiles, and then we'll give you a score. And that works well. It gives the kid a fun puzzle that has some theming to it. You want Little Red Riding Hood to get to the house. You want her to avoid the wolf. You want at the, in the last chapter for the huntsman to get to the wolf, but the wolf not to get to Little Red Riding Hood. There's some neat things in there, and each of the chapters, I thought, followed the story really well. There's also replayability. There's variants in the rule book. If you have figured out all the optimal paths, which there's the brambles and water surfaces on the other side you can use. There's also 2 expert overlays, a unicorn and a tree troll, which you can put on top of another one, which then changes everything. It essentially doubles the number of scenarios in the game, or triples them, I guess, which is a really cool thing. So there's a lot in here. So it's unique. It's a good family-style game. I could see some adults playing this. It's fun for that purpose, too. But it lets kids think in some logical laying down the things, but at the same time gives them that fairy tale background, which works well. So a lot of fun. I like finding games like this because this is the kind of game that should be sold at Toys R Us. Really great for kids. Woodlands. Dice Tower Judgment approved.